On a distant planet, an alien makes his way into a cave. He seems to be hunting prey. He is a predator from the planet Yautja, a race of the world's deadliest hunters. He eventually finds his target, another predator, and they get into a fight. Their battle grows intense as both show off their different skills, but in the end, one of them gains the upper hand and sends the other predator falling. The falling predator eventually catches himself and climbs back to the top, where he confronts the other one again. It is revealed that they are brothers and that their earlier fight was training. Dek, the younger brother, seeks the approval of his father but must prove himself with a great hunt. They return to their ship, and his elder brother Quay tells Dek that in order to earn his place in their clan, he must choose a prey and bring it back as a trophy, just as their ancestors did. He can either do this or never return to Yautja again. Dek takes an interest in a death planet called Jenna, home of the unkillable Kaisk. Quay confesses that even their father fears the Kaisk, which only motivates Dek further. He believes his father sees him as weak, so he must kill the strongest prey. Quay warns him that failure means death and tries to stop him, but Dek has already made up his mind. Before Dek can leave, their father, Njor the clan leader, arrives. Njor asks Quay why he hasn't executed his orders yet, revealing that he sent Quay to eliminate his brother earlier and that their initial fight was not training. Quay tries to reason with his father and asks him to allow Dek to hunt the Kaisk, but Njor laughs at the idea. He declares that Dek is the weakest in the clan and orders Quay to kill his brother. Quay ultimately refuses and sets Dek free, turning to face his father instead. Njor overpowers Quay, cutting off his arm and stabbing him while Dek watches in horror as his brother screams. With the last of his strength, Quay sends Dek away to planet Jenna, and their father finishes Quay with one final strike. Dek eventually reaches planet Jenna, but due to ship's rough condition from asteroid collisions, he is ejected from a vessel and immediately attacked by a creature. He manages to maneuver away and makes a soft, safe landing. He gets up and prepares for his hunt, swearing to avenge his brother, unaware that danger is already lurking behind him. Seconds later, tree vines attack. He fights off the hungry vines with all his strength and eventually climbs one of them, escaping just a few feet out of reach. He then turns around, revealing Jenna, a planet where everything hunts one another. Dek continues onward until he enters a field. There, he encounters plants that grow larger the closer you get to them, as if they might explode. Mindful of his steps, Dek moves slowly, observing each plant and trying not to trigger any danger. Suddenly, a voice catches his attention. He spots a woman speaking in a distorted, robotic voice. After adjusting it, she switches to English and explains that she is using a universal translator. Dek will hear Yautja, while others will hear their own languages. Just then, a creature swoops down, picks up a rock, and throws it in Dek's direction, causing the plants to explode and fire needles. The woman warns him that the plants wait for the needles to paralyze their victims before consuming them. She offers to help, but explains that she must be cut free first. Dek argues that he hunts alone, but when the needles begin to take effect, he uses the last of his strength to throw his weapon to the woman. She frees herself just in time and saves the paralyzed Dek from becoming monster food. The woman treats Dek, and when he regains consciousness, they greet each other. She reveals that she is, in fact, a robot sent to Jenna to collect data. Dek is uninterested, but she tells him that she has seen the Kaisk and knows it is the reason he is there. She promises to show Dek where the Kaisk is. In return, she would regain her mobility while Dek claims his trophy. After some convincing, Dek agrees and allows her to accompany him. The woman introduces herself as Thia, and the two set off on their journey as Thia bombards Dek with questions. They eventually reach a cave, and Dek asks Thia how long she has been on the planet. She replies that she arrived 2 years ago, which is when she began her exploration. She also reveals that she wasn't alone. She had arrived with several other synthetic droids and mentions one named Tessa. Thia explains that they were attacked by the Kaisk, and that was the last time she saw Tessa. By the time she finishes speaking, Dek has already fallen asleep. The scene shifts to another synthetic droid being carried into a lab. After the droid is repaired, a voice calls her Tessa. The voice warns that if Tessa fails again, she will be completely decomposed and orders her to return to the mission. Tessa asks about Thia, and the voice responds that a Yautja has her. The next day, Dek and Thia come across a bone bison feeding in a razor grass field. Thia reveals that this bison is the Kaisk's food, and Dek, feeling hungry, decides he will eat it as well. Soon after, another animal appears and challenges Dek for the meal, leading to a race to hunt it. Dek eventually succeeds, but another threat soon arises. This new creature traps Dek and Thia, and just as it is about to devour them, the blue animal saves them by cracking the creature's teeth with its hardened back. After recovering, the creature chases the blue animal, while Dek uses a large tree to corner it, stabbing it with his knife and finishing it off. Later, we see Tessa and her crew already searching for Dek, easily destroying the tree-vine creatures from earlier. Back with Dek and Thia, Thia laughs as she recounts the eventful afternoon, especially the hunt and the blue animal that decided to join them. During their conversation, Dek reveals that he no longer has a family or clan. He tells Thia about his brother and how he was killed by their father. Afterward, Dek suggests that Tessa might be Thia's sister, which makes Thia happy, especially since they are both androids. The blue creature, meanwhile, spits on Dek as a way of welcoming him into her family, especially after he saved her life and fed her. Meanwhile, Tessa and her crew continue their search and eventually arrive at Dek's ship. Inside, Tessa finds Dek's weapons. The next morning, Dek prepares to leave with Thia, leaving Bud, the blue creature, behind despite Thia's pleas. They eventually reach a location Dek believes to be the Kaisk's den. Along the way, they encounter destroyed androids, and Thia reveals that they were part of her team, attacked by the Kaisk. Eventually, Thia recovers her legs and begins reattaching them. She also secretly calls Tessa to her location. Dek returns, ready to continue his journey, and speaks about the honor, pride, and revenge he will bring to his father after capturing the Kaisk. Thia begins to feel sorry for Dek and confesses that she has already contacted Tessa. She also reveals that she was sent to capture the same Kaisk by her creators. She begs Dek to leave while he still can, but Dek is enraged by the betrayal. Dek demands to know where the Kaisk is, but Thia warns him that he cannot defeat the creature. He argues that this was not their original agreement and that his honor is at stake. Enraged, Dek storms off and triggers an explosion that draws the Kaisk toward him. The Kaisk finally appears, a massive creature resembling a dragon from How to Train Your Dragon. Thia keeps repping herself as Dek and the Kaisk engage in battle. Dek puts up a strong fight, even severing the Kaisk's tail, but the creature quickly regenerates. It tosses Dek into Thia just as she is about to complete her repairs. The fight continues, with Thia joining in by shooting the Kaisk, while Dek chains one of its teeth and traps its tail. With a final move, Dek leaps forward and slices off the Kaisk's head. However, the head rapidly reattaches, and the Kaisk pins Dek down, preparing to kill him. Suddenly, the creature pauses, sniffing Dek and recognizing a familiar scent, the blue creature's spit. While the Kaisk is distracted, Tessa arrives and throws an ice grenade, freezing both Dek and the monster. Tessa transports the Kaisk back to base. When Dek regains consciousness, Tessa asks why the Kaisk didn't kill him. She reveals that she read Thia's log files and that Dek never told Thia the true reason his brother was killed. Tessa brings Thia back online and announces that the Kaisk has been captured, claiming its regenerative abilities will revolutionize humanity. She then proposes turning Dek over for experimentation. Thia tries to protect Dek, arguing that he is useless to them and should be released, but Tessa has already made her decision. Thia takes drastic measures to stop her. During their confrontation, Tessa admits she was never there to save Thia, calling her a weakness. She states that after dealing with Dek, Thia will be stored away. Tessa leaves but orders her crew to interrogate Dek about his weapons. Dek and Thia work together to deceive the androids, claiming the weapon is merely a map and encouraging one android to look inside. When it does, its head explodes. Thia frees Dek, who escapes by jumping out of the moving vehicle while Thia is taken away. Dek eventually returns to his ship and treats his injuries. He finds his brother's helmet and, after making peace with Quay's death, prepares for one final hunt. Dek reunites with Bud and realizes that she is the Kaisk's child. He spits back at her, marking her as family, and decides to save the Kaisk instead of killing it. He finds Thia's legs, which lead him to the base. There, Thia's legs create a diversion, while Bud and Dek take down the guards. Thia reunites with her legs, and together they eliminate the remaining enemies. Meanwhile, Tessa prepares to transport the Kaisk off the planet. Dek and Thia reunite, and when Thia suggests they leave, Dek refuses. He insists on rescuing the Kaisk and reveals that Bud is its child. They devise a plan to lure all the androids, including Tessa, toward Dek, while Thia frees the Kaisk. When the alarm sounds, the androids converge on Dek, and with a little help, he destroys them. Tessa arrives in a larger machine and gains the upper hand in battle. Meanwhile, Thia defeats an android and uses its eye to open the Kaisk's cage. The Kaisk joins Dek, and together they overpower Tessa. She attempts to shoot the Kaisk, but is devoured instead. As peace briefly settles, the Kaisk suddenly freezes and explodes. From the icy smoke, Tessa emerges, battered but alive. She prepares to shoot Thia but is finally killed by Dek and ripped apart by Bud. Afterward, they leave the planet and return to Yautja, where Dek confronts his father. He presents his trophy, but his father still mocks him as weak. Dek demands his cloak, and they fight. Dek cuts off his father's arm, just as Njor did to Quay, and allows Bud to finish him off. Dek claims his father's cloak, becoming the new leader of the Yautja. Suddenly, a ship approaches, causing Dek and the clan to draw their swords. Thia asks if the ship is friendly. Dek responds, "No, it's my mother." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting movies like this. See you in the next one.